crafty friends, it's Kim Kesti here in the Spellbinder studio, and I'm so excited to present to you the calendar class. Now, this is a bundle that we have available on Spellbinder's website, but even if you don't have the bundle, I hope that you enjoy the class and you kind of follow along as we walk through all 12 months of our amazing BetterPress calendar suite. Now, this includes not only the calendar months, I'm going to walk you through everything in the bundle here, but also the amazing florals that go with each of those months. And then also as a bonus, kind of a fun little easel that we have that you can display your amazing calendar after you create it. So let's take a look at the class bundle. Like I said, you may not have this bundle. Maybe you're checking it out. You might order it later, or maybe you've just bought these pieces individually. But we do have this Florals for the Year calendar class bundle. So that's what we're having now, the calendar class. So exciting. Let's kind of walk through what's in this bundle. And like I said, it is all available a la carte. But of course, if you do like to kind of have everything in a one and done click of the mouse, then that is perfect. So one of the pieces you have in here is this little postcard, which if you are already watching me, probably you've already checked out this postcard. It does have the direct link to the calendar class that you're watching now. But maybe this is a giftable. This is something you're going to present to someone else. So just that you know that all the information is here. And then also shows some fun little bonus projects on the back. We always love to give you more inspiration. So that little postcard is included. And then of course, I'm going to flip to the bottom piece here. Kind of the centerpiece of this class is the actual calendar BetterPress plates. So you can see down here you've got all 12 plates in one package. How fun is that? And these are dated. These are actually dated for 2025. So some people asked, oh, are they going to be able to be used, every year? They will not, unfortunately, but this comes at a really great price point. And you can see we've just packed every single month right into this set. So you're going to get great value, and hopefully you are going to be making multiples for gifts or for friends, co-workers, you never know. So hopefully you're going to get a lot of mileage out of this guy, but super fun. And also we wanted to make it easy. So this really is the easiest way for us to present the months to you versus having these individual, lines of days and weeks. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, we're not going to do that and make you line everything up. So just captured every month, just ready to go. And then, of course, you're going to have your coordinating pieces that go with each month. So I think these are loaded in backwards, which will be kind of fun, actually, because you can see all of them. And, of course, we're going to go through every month as we print them right together during this class. But you can see that each month not only comes with the flower, but also comes with the flower name. And also comes with the flower actual larger month title. So the larger month title you can use on your calendar. We will probably not do that today. Maybe I'll do a sample. I think that'd be fun. But this January right here is also duplicated on your BetterPress calendar. So you have the months here, every single month, also in this pack. So again, options. You can see here that it's quite a bit smaller than the one that comes with the actual flower. So this January is large. This January in this set is going to be much smaller. But again, fun to have different options and different ways to BetterPress all the fun things. The class kit does include a 25 pack of cotton card panels. These are perfectly sized for your calendar. So you can have 25. So right away you can do at least 2 calendars with this pack. So again, one for you, one for a friend. Or of course you can buy more of that cotton card panel on the website also. And then this is really fun. I think this is a great little easel die. I've got one pre-cut. I'm going to help you assemble it during class 2. But this is going to hold all 12 months of your calendar, and it is a sturdy little easel. This was really well designed. It can hold a multitude of things, including card projects, other fun things you want to display. It can even hold your phone, guys. It is that sturdy. So if you want a fun little easel that you can hold your phone on for maybe your lunchtime, viewing, would be kind of fun to do that. So really great class bundle. Like I said, even if you're watching and you have some of these pieces individually, you might want to check out the other pieces that come with this whole bundle. So I think we should kind of start playing. I'm going to show you how I have all of my months organized. I'll put my kit kind of back together here. So what you're going to need to create this class is your BetterPress system. So you can see mine is kind of well loud. It's got a little inky situation on it, but that's all good. It's a great tool, and your tools will get inky and used after a while. I have my cotton card panels already unpacked here. And then, of course, your accessory tool that you're going to need to go with your BetterPress is your Platinum 6 die cutting machine. Now, our BetterPress is compatible with a lot of other die cutting machines, but of course, this is the one that I love that I am going to use. So I think we can zoom out. Oh, you're getting a little sneak peek here. We can zoom out a little bit more and I'll show you right exactly how I have organized all my months. And this is really for the benefit of sharing this class with you. But if you were going to have a get together with some friends, maybe print a bunch of the calendars, just really have a good time. I chose to take our little craft stacks here. So these are our medium-sized craft stacks. I put each month together. And then, of course, I have all the inks that match, and I'll go through all of the ink colors that I chose to use. Of course, you can switch them up or do any kind of ink you want. But I thought this was just a fun, clever way to really get them all organized. How do I know which goes with which, Kim, right? So 2025 is all spelled out in this handy little printable for you. So this printable is available really in the same spot that you're going to find this class. We have a landing page. I believe it's associated with the blog, or it will lead you to a landing page that has all these printables. I'm going to show you another one a little bit later. But this is going to show you exactly which kind of day of the week matches with your January. So if you get that laid out ahead of time, you're going to save so much time. Because, of course, the weeks start on a different day for every single month. So that's why we've provided all of those plates for you. So perfect little printable. You can grab that. You can say, okay, January this year starts on a Wednesday, January 1st. So that's the plate you're going to find to match up with your January title. And then the days of the week across here, of course, stay the same because on our calendar, the days of the week always start with Sunday. So that is the only part that is not going to change between every month of the calendar. But great little printable. You want to print this out. If you don't want to print it out, you can easily access it online and just, view it on your tablet or your phone, zoom up, do whatever works best for you. But it is available to be printed. So that's fun. And that's what I've already done here is I've already organized my weekly situation here with every month that coordinates with it. Situation. How did you guys like that? All right. So I've got my BetterPress. I've got all my months set out. I've got my inks picked out. We have, of course, printed this calendar already to place online. So there is a finished set of calendar, photos and all that good stuff for you at the Spellbinders Paper Arts website that you can refer to also. But I think it'll be fun just to kind of go through. I'll give you some tips and tricks on how to kind of set up your calendars and your months. And we'll have a good time getting ready for 2025. Unbelievable. So I mentioned that this is an A2 panel calendar. You're certainly welcome to print a larger calendar. You could do a 5x7, which would be this larger grid. That would be absolutely stunning. Definitely make it your own. I love the idea that although we're going to kind of walk through your basic calendar here, you guys are going to absolutely have fun personalizing it, changing it, making it match your personality. I just need a little bit of, this is our best ever craft tape. Of course, I happen to have it in a little tape dispenser here. But it is nice to use with our BetterPress system. And then when I go ahead and bring in my January plates here, I always like to tape my card panel on first just so I can be ready. So when I'm inked up and ready to go, then I don't have to be, oh, stop, I forgot to tape it on. So we're going to print our months separately, at least in the beginning. And then we're going to kind of decide as we go along if you feel confident enough to also place your flower. But I'm going to talk to you a little bit about placement. So we've got our months for January here. And I did mention that we've got a plate that has all of your Sunday, Monday, Tuesdays going on here. That's going to stack up. And these aren't quite in place yet, but I just kind of want to lay them out here and walk you guys through. And then this narrow plate has your January and your 2025 on it. So all of these plates are going to stack quite nicely. One other tool that I think would be handy to have as we kind of go through is a pair of tweezers. Tweezers or some kind of a tool that you can use to just lightly nudge these around a little bit. I'm not going to poke my tweezers into the plate or anything, but I'm going to use it kind of as a little nudgy. So maybe I'll call it a nudgy tool. Something that you can move these plates on a little bit easier. So first of all, I'm going to move these all down because I'm anticipating that my flower is going to take up a little bit more space. Now the one thing I want to talk to you about is allowing for your calendar to have enough space for the very, very longest month. And I think November is one of the longest months. Yes, it is. So let me bring the November plate in just to show you what I mean. If you see these two guys side by side, you can see that November, the 1st of November starts way up here. So it starts on a Sunday and then goes all the way through. So you have another extra line down here when the month ends. So you can see that when we've produced this calendar, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines. If you guys can kind of follow along, 6 rows, I should say. Whereas most of the months of the calendar only have 5. So I do want you to, when we think about placement, have enough placement, because I like my calendar to be even from month to month, that you have enough placement for that very longest month to place on there. And I feel like this is pretty good right here. Even when I get to November, I'm still not going to be at the very bottom of my paper. It's going to be pretty close. Remember that this line right here is your bottom of your card panel, right? So I'm going up 1 full square. And now we are really appreciating that this bottom chase here has, or the magnetic part of the chase has grid marks on it. I'm loving that. So you don't really need any other kind of template or anything. You just want to make sure that you're using these grid marks to the best advantage and getting them all centered on there. So I'm looking at this and I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling like November is got enough breathing room. So I can, maybe before I move it, I'll kind of adjust my days and months here. So kind of put that there. I haven't centered it left to right quite yet, but I want to have that be comfortable before I start worrying about left and right. So again, the hardest one to get started is going to be your very first one. Once you get this guy started, then it'll be much quicker and easier to swap out every time. So now I can kind of count my little grid marks on the left and on the right, and I can see that I'm probably justified to the right just a little bit too far. I'm going to scooch this guy over. Scooch this guy, scooch this guy. And then I can look at my grids and see if I scooch it too far. I've got basically 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes plus that little extra. I've got 1, 2, 3 plus a little extra. Yeah, I went a little too far. Maybe it was perfect the first time. Doubtful, but. So now I've got 3 full boxes plus a half a box and a half a box. And same over here. Okay, so this is feeling pretty good. So you guys kind of follow along with what I'm doing here. You could, of course, get your tape measure out. You can absolutely measure, but I'm like, you know what? We've got grid marks. This is working well for me. So again, I'm kind of on the grid mark where I've got a half on the right side, and then I've got 3 full boxes, and then, of course, this is another half that basically runs into your guideline there for your A2 panel. So even on both sides, even Steven. And now I'm kind of looking at my days of the week right here, and they're like halfway through this grid line. So I'm going to be kind of fancy, and I'm going to put a little piece of tape. I'm going to put it as a marker way over here because I don't want it where my card panel is going to lay on. And I know that this is going to be the line that halfway across this line is my days of the week. So as I'm inking, as I'm switching months out, I don't want to have to go back and try to guess every time which line I centered my days of the week. My days of the week, my Sunday through Saturday, are going to be my basically starting point, vantage point for every single month. This is the key plate, the second one down right here, that I don't want to really move much as I switch out all of my months. I'm going to switch this plate and this plate every time. So I want to have a visual guide about which line that I've got this guy on. And it is centered. In other words, the plate is halfway above and below that line. Can you guys see where I have pointed there with my tweezers? Ooh, I love this close-up, Gavin. Thank you. So my days of the week are halfway through this line right here. So half of above the line, half below the line. So, perfect. I love it. Left to right, you just want to scooch, make sure that you're lined up. Maybe that goes over a tiny bit more. I'm feeling pretty good about that. This bottom of the plate kind of does reach that line right there, but again, that line is going to change a little bit from month to month. So really the key thing that I want to do, just to repeat one more time, is get your days of the week exactly where you want them, and they're going to stay from month to month. So, yay! Okay, so let's zoom out a tiny bit more, and we'll go back. And again, I'm just going to lay my pretty little snowdrop flower on top. I'm not going to print it right now, but you can see that this is going to go, this stem is going to go pretty close to my month here. And it technically could go a tiny bit lower once we do our print, but just to kind of give you an idea of, okay, how close these are and how snug they are, that's why I'm printing them separately. I'm not going to try to ink this up with my pretty cruise ink and then ink this up with black, and then knowing my luck, I'll probably get green ink where black is and black ink where green is supposed to be. So that's why I'm choosing to print them separately. But I also think this is a good kind of idea to just print your Januaries, especially if you're doing multiples. So I would leave this January all set up here, and then I would print maybe 2 or 3 copies, however many I wanted to do. Maybe one I want to have some pretty die cut elements on it. Maybe one I want to have photos on it. Maybe one I want to have some kind of other design or card panel or label popped up here. There's so many different things you can do with this calendar with just the basic print at the bottom. So really keep your eyes and ears open. I'm sure you guys will come up with many more ideas that I'm not even thinking of. But my biggest suggestion to you is once you get this all set up for your months, print more than one, guys. Just go ahead and print them, and then you'll have them in your stash and have them all ready to go. All right, I'm not going to straighten this up too much anymore, because after I ink, if anything happens to move a tiny bit, then I'm going to straighten it up one more time with my tweezers. But now we just come in, and I'm choosing to do all of my months in black. I think they're just going to stand out nicely. Oh, and there's one more thing I got to share with you before I go in to print this. And that is our shims in the bottom. Now this BetterPress system comes with shims underneath this magnetic platform. And I believe there are 3. 1, 2, 3. Yes. I'm only going to print with 1 shim right now. I'm going to see how it does with only 1 shim, because you can see that these little dates and lines are really, really fine. So I don't want any dramatic smudging or anything. I'm going to try this January, and if it doesn't work perfectly, I'm going to maybe take out that last shim. But I think this one will be good. Now don't over ink. Just give yourself, give yourself a nice patting of ink. You do want to make sure it prints well, but like I said, these are super fine lines. Now, I do have a little kind of cotton cloth here. Why do I always forget the name of these cloths?
Flour sack.
Deb's going to be like, flour sack. Got Deb back here being my helper. It's a cotton flour sack towel. This is what we use to clean our plates. I just kind of clean up any extra ink that happens to be smudged. So I'm feeling good. I double checked my placement. I'm popping my platen right on top. That is the clear piece. And then you bring in your platinum 6 and we just run it through. Now remember, guys, you want to run it through one time. You don't want to go forward and back. You could have a tiny bit of shifting of your plates, and you might get a little double print, which we definitely don't want for this sweet little calendar. I'm going to get my arm workout moving that back and forth, but oh, very pretty. Now I'm looking at it pretty close, and I don't think it's really smudged. I wonder if I could get by with no shim. The only part that I see is a tiny bit heavier is this top line, this January line. So I think I'm going to go ahead and take that last shim out when I do February. I am happy with this. It's very pretty. But I'm going to try it with just 1 shim. And this could be dependent on how much pressure is on your machine. Especially if you're not using the Platinum 6, you may want to you know, have some variations with your pressure. So just, that is why we put those shims underneath, so you really could customize it and make it perfect for you. So like I said, I always like to tape my card panel in place. I should say my calendar panel, right? Okay, so I'm taking all of my shims out. I'm going to print February, and then if it's too light, I may have to go back and do it again. But let's take January out. We are going to leave our days of the month, or days of the week, I should say. I'll try to keep them somewhat in place. February, and again, these are all going to stack, even though it has only the one right there. We're going to still try to keep it stacked in place perfectly. We've got February. And then I'm double checking that line that my days of the week are nicely in place, left to right. And this is February with 0 shims, so let's see how it goes. Again, I don't want too much ink either. The thing about BetterPress is, though, it's pretty darn foolproof. Okay, I'm just checking that this didn't shift when I inked it. I think that's pretty good. Let's go in for February. I like to go a little slow when I go over those months. You don't really have to go slow, but I figure, well, I'm not going to speed right through. Oh, yeah, that printed nice. Ugh, I think I'm going to leave it with 1 shim now. I'm going to make sure it's dark enough. Yeah, I think it is. You want that nice clarity without any kind of extra ink. All right, let's do 1 more month before we switch to a fun flower, and then I promise I will go through every month, but I think at that point, after I kind of share some fun flowers with you, we may end up kind of speeding up that portion of the video. I'll let Gavin, the expert, decide. Once you guys get these months kind of going, then I know that you're going to be golden. I don't want to bore you too much with all 12 months, right? Okay, again, kind of making sure my days of the week are somewhere there. March is kind of a long month too. It's got a lot of lines on it. One thing you do have to get a little bit used to is the print on these plates is more or less backwards. So when you do it, make sure you don't have your month, especially your month title, upside down. Otherwise your March will be, oops, upside down. Not be good. All right, I feel like I'm shifting over to the right a tiny bit, so I'm going to do a little correction there. If you guys are crafting along, that's awesome. But remember, you can always pause this video, go back, rewind it many times as you want. All right, March is looking good. I also do a tiny bit of a pivot when I'm doing the ink, and that kind of loads the ink nicely on there. But again, you don't want too much ink that it gets a little smudgy. It's like that word, smudgy. This plate snuck down a little bit, so. Straighten that out. We don't want crooked months, do we? I just take a habit of just wiping this excess ink. It probably is not likely that it's going to print on your card, but you know, it'd be a bummer to put that much work and then have too much ink, right? All right, we got March 2025. Can you guys believe it? We're already planning for 2025. Gavin's like, no, say it isn't so. By the way, we should say hi to Gavin back there and say, thanks for helping us film, Gavin.
Hello.
Hey. Sweet. Oh, yeah, that's pretty. Okay, so this is no shims, and it's working out beautifully, guys. So good reminder there to pull those shims out again, depending on the, strength of your machine. All right, so I'm moving my months now just because I want to print a flower. I don't want to get you guys too bored. Leaving my tape in place there so I know exactly where to come back with my days of the week. But let's go back to January. You could do this every month at a time. I kind of wanted to really get the few of those months under our belts so you know exactly how to go and do every month. But once you have January gently taped on here, you absolutely could just print January or print several, like I said, print multiples, and then come back and do your flower right away. I don't want to make sure this is straight so it lines up pretty. Double check that. But again, if you are taping it in place the first time, you may already have this just all set and ready to go. All right, you can use your original dies as a guide here. Let me kind of just bring them in just for fun. Or you could put another piece of tape and show, exactly where you have these months. So again, I know that's here. I know that this guy is here. So I'm going to bring this January down a little bit more. And then once I remove these plates, I can see that right between this word January and the 2025, I have a tiny bit of room. So I actually can budge that down just a tiny bit more. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to bring it just down to that line. Like I maybe moved it 1/8 of an inch. So kind of fussy, but just keep in mind that you do have this bare spot here between. So your stem can kind of creep down there just a tiny bit. And I think it's a cool look. I think it's an elegant look. Really makes it pretty to have them a little bit more connected, right? All right. So I'm coming back some shims. I'm going to put 2 shims in. I don't really think I need all 3. Should I do all 3? Let's see. Yeah, let's do all 3. Why not? We want this flower to be nice and solid and absolutely gorgeous. So I'm putting my shims back in. Again, another reason why you may want to do all your months first and then come back and do the flowers, but it's up to you. Depends on, kind of your style of crafting, and if you want to just kind of chill out and do it more slowly, then you could switch back and forth. But just maybe make a note to be sure to switch those shims. Because if you leave all the shims in when you're printing your dates, it's going to be a little smoochy. I promise you it will be. All right, so this ink color, I'll put it here. And I could actually even add this to the PDF or put a little description on the landing page there about what colors ink I use, but you can definitely follow along also with a video, or like I said, feel free to switch it up, change the colors. Maybe the colors I picked weren't the best. We'll see. But I thought this cruise was a nice way to start the year. Very fresh and pretty, kind of a mint green. So again, you can kind of see when you're inking it if you got some nice coverage. Just kind of give it that little pounce and pivot. That's looking pretty good. The BetterPress plates have a special coating on them that accepts that ink. So they're a little bit different than just a normal, what you would think of as a metal plate or a metal stamp. They do have that special coating, so the BetterPress ink just sticks to it and prints just beautifully. So here comes our January snowdrop. Very pretty. Then we'll dun dun dun. Oh my gosh, I love it. Let's switch here so Gavin can come in nice and close. But it is just stunning. And I love see how these kind of branches come down a little bit lower into the calendar area. And it gives you enough breathing space at the top too, so you can, have that beautiful effect. But isn't that gorgeous? Love, love. All right, let's do February. Let's do February since we're on a roll with flowers. Also so nice to have these craft stacks just to keep my months straight so I don't mix them all up, because I got Deb over here over my shoulder going, you would definitely mix them up, Kim. So January goes back in the January bucket. Check. Let's bring February back. February is this darling little flower. And again, if you want to use your little days of the week, we know where that goes. I feel like I'm a little too low. Get my February just to check. And again, that's feeling pretty good. I might lower it just a teeny bit. Like not even 1/8 of an inch. Just a little scooch. All right, and then left or right, I didn't really mention it when we did January, but you've got the center bar, so that's pretty easy to kind of get left to right. And the flowers are very organic, so I wouldn't worry or stress too much about getting it, you know, really perfectly centered. Some of the, like this one has a little bit heavier leaf on the side. They're all going to be beautiful no matter what. Okay, still have all my shims in there. By the way, I don't know if I said this ink color out loud, but this is Garnet. I'll make sure there's not too much garnet around here. We don't want it printed on our card panel. All right, February. Go in and do April. My month of April, I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. How pretty. Love. And super simple, guys. So once you have this, if you are doing multiples, you would just ink this back up, switch your card panel out, print it all over again. Absolutely stunning. And you guys know, unless you have never really played with BetterPress before, you are getting this beautiful debossed impression. Of course, these flowers are going to be beautiful on any kind of card project, which, of course, I will share as we go along. A couple other projects we made. I'm going to skip March right now. I'm going to go back to the calendar. I'm going to bring in April. Back to our calendar printing. This one's going to be, I'm going to show you a little bit different technique. Oh, this one's got a little... My card panels were not a fresh pack. Some of them had a couple little dents on them. Again, we've printed January, February, and we've already printed March, so I'm getting my April bucket here. Your yellow tape you can reuse too. I gotta stick it on the end of my panel here. So for April, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to put my days of the week. Days of the week, come here. So same spot, days of the week are not moving. We want that part to stay consistent. And we're going to put our cute little April down here. April's a short one. Shorter, I guess, than some. Okay, left or right, I'm checking. I'm going to go back this way a tiny bit. So just double check your left and right when you go to print too, because now that we've done some flowers, we want to make sure we're still on the same page there. That's looking pretty good. All right, I'm going to print this with black. So I'm not putting my April title on this time, and I'll show you guys what I'm going to do instead after we print this part of the calendar.
Forget to take your shims out.
Oh, such a good reminder. Thank you, Deb. See, I told you guys to leave a note for yourself, and I didn't have a note for myself. I feel like my Sunday is getting a little bit too much ink on it for some reason. But a little heavy-handed. I can see that I have more ink on this side of the chase too, so. Wipe that away. Make sure things didn't shift. That looks pretty straight. All right, so this is just going to be a little switch up for April, just to kind of show you a different option. So we're printing April without our April plate at the top. This is when it would be really nice to have two BetterPresses. You could have one with all the shims and one with no shims. That would be so great. Okay, so I've got this part of April. Now I'm going to leave that in place just while I place my cute little, I think this is a sweet pea. I can move these guys. So I'm going to print my sweet pea in taffy. Pop that there. And yes, I'm going to put my shims back in. Should have done that before I started inking. I love a sweet pea. We used to have a little cottage in our nearby town that had sweet peas growing over the trellis. Oh, so pretty. I've heard they're kind of invasive though, so I think maybe some people don't really like them because they tend to take over, but all right. We'll check my taffy ink here. All right, so now we're printing our flower. Remember, we still don't have our month printed yet, but I think you guys probably know where I'm going with this. That pretty flower. So nice. And yes, I'm going to come in with my April title now. I'm going to kind of give myself a little idea of where I had this guy. I'm going to have it more or less at the cross point, at the center point of my flower. I might do it just teeny bit lower. I'm kind of looking at my cross point here on my print, and I want to have the word April come across. Actually, I'm going to do it a little higher now that I'm looking at it. I want my April to kind of come right across the center of this flower. So put that there, and the R looks pretty centered. So just a different option to put a little bit different, bigger monthly title on your calendar. And I'm going back to black for this because I'm printing over that pretty taffy color. So you can double BetterPress. You can print your BetterPress right on top of what you already have printed. And that will be very nice. I'm going to leave one shim in. I'm going to do one shim. Because this April's a little bit bigger. I want it to be pressed nicely in there. Plus it's going over that pink ink, so I want to make sure it gets pressed in there nice. So one shim on this one. Oh my gosh, love it, guys. Look how pretty. So now your April's a little bit bigger, a little bit bolder, a little bit different than your, cute little dainty one. I'll bring January back next to it here. So you can see you've got that definitely bigger, bolder look. So fun. So different option, something to think about. You could switch it up, maybe do one this style and one this style. Really, the sky's the limit. I do want to show you a pretty card I'm going to bring in here just as kind of a little bonus idea for using these flowers with these titles right here. We printed one here and made this darling card, but it actually also includes another one of our pretty SKUs, and that is called Bold Numbers. This is a color mix collection where we produce these really big bold numbers and BetterPress plates. Absolutely gorgeous. And again, we can post this and put the SKUs on it. I'm sure you'll find them as you're kind of searching around, spellbinderspaperarts.com. But they are called Bold Numbers, and they have a matching die too, which is really cool. Sold separately, but also a really fun idea. But for this one, we just printed our March flower. We printed the month of March, which is 03. But you also could definitely personalize this if you're doing a birthday card. Say your recipient was born March 16th or something. You definitely could put a 1 and a 6. Definitely step it up. Make it your own. Absolutely gorgeous. And then, of course, you have your little title, which come with every one of our flowers, the title and the name of the flower, like I mentioned in the beginning. So, super cool, fun effect. You could definitely take this, like I'm going to cover this right here. So, say this was your April flower for your card. You could have this as a beautiful card and then just put a happy birthday sentiment or something right below. So many fun ways to use these flowers, these florals through the year. Don't have to limit yourself to calendars. So very cool. All right. I'm on a little bit of roll with my flower, so I am going to go ahead and finish that March flower. And then we'll skip back to printing some more months. So shims go back in. I want to finish up my March before it gets lonely. So placing my March month back on here. March is so pretty too. It's this gorgeous, gorgeous daffodil. I'm kind of bring in my, let's see, where did my days of the week go? Where did I print them last? I have to find them. I know my days of the week are right on this line, and this is right below, so just want to make sure my daffodil's not too low. It's got a little more space at the top, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it there. It's got a little more breathing room. I feel like my card's not perfectly straight. Let's straighten it out. This is when you get a little OCD. Make sure all your panels are straight. So this one is Tuscan, so a beautiful darker golden color. Love it. You could do saffron, which would be a tiny bit lighter than this. It would be gorgeous also. So whatever color daffodil tickles your fancy. Alrighty. Run that back through with all 3 shims, because again, those solid plates, I really do feel like putting that shim back in, or those extra shims, really gives you a nice bold flower. Look how beautiful. Love, love. And just taking that extra second to wipe away any excess ink. Just make sure that there's no extra ink or smudging or anything hanging around with my calendar. So love it. So beautiful. All right, so we got January, February, March, and we actually have April done already because we did that a little bit different, but that's super fun. We're cruising right along, guys. All right, so I'm going to pop another panel on. I think this is where we might go ahead and end up speeding the video, so I'm probably going to not chit-chat too much for the next couple of minutes. And I'm going to start with May and just start laying each month out. I'm not going to print the flowers right now. I'm going to print all the rest of the months for the rest of the year, just so you can follow along. And if you're at the point where you're, oh, what am I doing? Taping the panel in the wrong place. This is what I got for talking too much. I am going to start with May, like I said. And if you're at the point where you feel confident that you're like, Kim, I've got this. I know how to line it up. I'm golden. You can absolutely even fast forward through this part of the video. And I will just go along month by month. Maybe we'll have Gavin add some cute little music. And I will see you when we are done printing December. So enjoy watching this little speeded up version. And we will be right back with you live. Now I'm going to come back live and slow myself down and tell you that when we get to October, this is the special month because October is actually the same days of the week as January. So I'm going to bring January back in, and I'm going to switch it to my October bin so you guys can double check me if you want on the calendar, but it is the month that repeats, and typically you will get that at least once a year where the days of the week exactly repeat. But it doesn't happen all that often, so just wanted to bring us back to real speed and talk about grabbing that January plate and bringing it into your October press. After that, you're all good with the exact same as we've been doing, so off to the races we go. And the very last month of the year is December. Yay! Thanks so much for your patience, guys. Like I said, whether you're kind of fast forwarding through all that business or whether you wanted to just watch and see how I lined up each and every month, either way is all good. You notice I'm putting my plates back in with my month every time, so when I go back to print those flowers, all of my, little buckets will be all ready. They're already populated with the flowers of the month from the Florals through the year plates. And then I can just come back and customize them and have so much fun. Speaking of customizing, I did want to kind of walk you through another idea that I had for customizing one. And I think I'm going to take September. I have a new plate for September. Normally when I go in and I'm going to glimmer hot foil one. So you guys ready for this? So fun. I'm going to make sure my machine's turned on over here. And if I was going to glimmer hot foil, would probably come in with just a little bit of archival ink cleaner. By the way, which is our cleaner of choice. We would just take that same little flour sack. We put a little bit of ink cleaner on the flour sack itself and just kind of rub it, clean up some of this ink. This one's been dry and it's been cleaned up already once, so this probably would be fine to glimmer on, but just for funsies, I'm going to grab this new one that I have from my calendar class bundle and kind of walk you through how you can change the look of this by doing a little bit of glimmering. I think it'll be so fun. So my glimmer hot foil machine is heating up. I'm just going to go ahead and print it in gold just because it's a nice standard color. But one thing I do want to share with you that's a little tip, and hopefully it would make a little bit of difference when you're hot foiling. When you're hot foiling on the cotton panels, because it's got a little bit of texture to it, it's a little bit not as easy to get this really super kind of heavier, bolder pattern glimmered on there. So I like to take a little bit of anti-static powder. Now this could be in a pouch, it could be however you kind of have it. And I'm just going to rub some anti-static powder across the top. This is just going to do a little bit to allow that foil to adhere a little bit better. Again, whether it's in a pouch or one of these fancy ones from Rabbit Hole, however you want to apply your anti-static powder. And make sure there's no excess powder hanging around on top. But then for this guy, I'm going to use somewhat of a hinge technique, but probably more of just a taping the plate in place technique. So I'm going to kind of look at my plate right here, and I'm kind of adjusting this where I want it to be. Of course, I know it's going to have to be flipped over because it's going to press that foil into my pattern. but just kind of want to get the main idea so I don't have this too crooked. So I feel like this is kind of a V shape, kind of pointing at the W there. So I'm going to kind of line it up there just so I get an idea. I'm not taping it down yet because I have to add my foil, but just to give you an idea here. So I'm going to cut a piece of foil, just big enough for this flower, and then I'll probably trim around it a little bit. I'm going to soften those edges just a little bit. And you can use the BetterPress plate as a guide. Of course, you can use these BetterPress plates on any kind of paper, including our Glimmer specialty paper, which really is the absolute best. You get the best results out of that, but you're going to give this one a try. So your foil always wants to kind of be hanging out with your pattern. So don't forget to have your foil for this technique facing up, or in other words, facing the pattern on your plate. And I like my V kind of in place right here. I think I'll trim a little bit of that foil still away. But now I can put a few little pieces of tape here to hold this guy in place. Once I have it positioned where I want it. It's really not too much of a overfoiling with BetterPress plates because they are a little bit thinner than a typical Glimmer plate. Overfoiling is not really an issue, but I'm going to trim that away just so I have enough room to put my little piece of tape. And now when we bring in our hot foil machine, I'm going to grab it out here. I think I'm still going to add just a little bit of a shim when I do these guys. So if you're not as familiar with the Glimmer hot foil system, we know that this plate right here, that's the opaque plate, is more heat resistant. So don't forget to kind of put that on the bottom. But I'm going to grab one of my BetterPress shims and I'm putting it between these two plates. So see my sandwich here? I've got heat resistant, I've got an extra shim, and then I've got my Glimmer hot foil. So this won't get so hot that it'll wreck my shim or anything like that. But I am doing that to give a little bit extra pressure because, again, Glimmer plates are slightly thinner than BetterPress plates. But now that I have my plate in place and I have my foil in place, naturally this is the part you want to heat up. So you want to flip it over, which is why we taped it. Put it on your Glimmer hot foil machine, and then mine is ready. It says platform ready, so I'll hit the timer. And then we'll tick-tock, let it go through its timer cycle. That's heating up the BetterPress plate. And then again, when I press it, I'm going to press it with one extra shim inside. It's just a little bit different look for you to do if you want to kind of bring in your Glimmer. Of course, I think typically you would use more of these plates when you're doing card making, and you would Glimmer these on, for example, Glimmer specialty paper. Maybe you want to Glimmer them on acetate. That would be absolutely gorgeous. Glimmer them on a dark colored cardstock. Stunning. So many different fun things. In fact, while that's heating up, maybe I'll show you a fun glimmered one that I did where I took a whole bunch of those florals. Isn't that fun? So I took just a variety of the florals for the month. You can see the little daffodil there. I'm sure the sweet peas hanging out here. And then I just kind of placed them kind of all over my Glimmer hot foil. I think I even did maybe 2 different rounds, kind of filling in some of these spaces. But yeah, I used the Glimmer hot foil, just the same gold that we're using right now, and using the BetterPress plates, I think create a really fun, stunning card. Kind of a showstopper, right? With all that gold on it. So pretty. So same idea we're doing right here. I just happen to be doing it on the calendar now, just to show you something fun. All right, so timer is done. I'm gonna undock this. I like to put mine on here before I put my shims. Everybody glimmers differently, but a lot of times I'll just bring the platform over here. And then I'm going to roll this a little bit slow through here, just so I allow that heat and that pressure to work together. And hopefully press that foil right into my calendar panel. We'll see if we get a nice solid impression. You could even put an additional shim, but you don't want too many shims so you don't get overfoiling either. So let's see. Dock that guy back in over there. And then that plate is warm, so be careful. All right, guys, the peel and reveal. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, quite pretty. Not a super solid foiling. Kind of an experiment, but it actually is quite pretty. You know what I might consider doing with this is coming back with a little bit of a watercolor wash. BetterPress ink is beautiful to use with watercolor, but gold foil also resists watercolor, so that's kind of a cool look. Let me show you a fun watercolor card that I did just with black. But again, for this panel, I watercolored first and then did the black printing on top, so it stayed really super bold and solid. But I think this one would be actually kind of fun to come back and add some watercolor. That would fill in some of those little gaps where the foil isn't super, super pressed on. Like I said, the best effect you're going to get is more similar to this card that I created, and that is using the Glimmer Specialty paper. So you're always going to get a perfect look with that. But love this with the watercolor. Again, just a fun little birthday card. Customize it with your recipient's month, and just have a good time with that. All right. So I think I am not going to go through every other flower that we haven't printed. They're all going to be exactly like I showed you. November is this gorgeous little kind of mum. How stunning is that going to be in this clay color? Again, kind of customize them, do them exactly to your liking and all of your favorite colors or your favorite impressions of the monthly flowers, and they will be absolutely gorgeous. Let me run through a completed set that I have here, just to kind of quickly go through, and I'm actually I'll call out the names of the inks, just so then you'll know, and we can also print this on our landing page too. But we have got January here, and we've got Cruise ink. We've got February, gorgeous, with Garnet. We've got our little Daffodil with Tuscan. We've got our little Sweet Pea here with Taffy. That's the one I printed a little bit differently for a different kind of idea. This is one of our new inks, Laurel. It's from our new Woodlands ink. This is Apricot. So pretty. And our Water Lily that you just saw me watercolor here. This one is done in French blue. Love that really soft blue. We've got August, which is like a poppy. So we did that in Strawberry. Darling. Spruce, September. So kind of a darker blue. We've got Saffron. I called that out earlier. We could also use this for your Daffodil for October. There's that beautiful Clay for November. And then Pine, another one of our new colors here for December. So much fun. All right, so we've kind of walked through all 12 of our months. I did promise I would show you a fun version, and I'm also going to put, you know what, maybe I'll do our easel together. I'll do our easel first. So we've got our fun easel die here. And again, it is super sturdy. It comes out like this. I've already die cut it, so I'll just kind of walk you through assembling it. You are, I think, going to want to use wet glue. It's what I prefer. Anytime you're doing paper to paper, a wet glue gives a really nice bond. You may want to do a really heavy, tacky tape, maybe like one of the red tapes. But I honestly prefer the glue. These have got a nice little score line, so just kind of gently bend those a little bit just so you can come in and do your gluing. So I'm putting right sides together on this die. We did originally design this, and we tried to do it where we could make a little smaller die and only do one side, and then have you cut it twice, but it really did not have that pretty finished look. So we went ahead and did both angles, which I think was the best decision. Kind of marrying those up really nice. And then of course we've got the crease line, which I've kind of gently creased already, but you'll be able to do this better when the glue is completely dry. Oh, you've already got this nice little easel going on. And then the cross piece right here does have two little score lines. You probably can see it on the die a little bit better. So you can see the two little score lines there. I think they show up on the camera. So you want to just gently bend those guys right there and right there. And then this becomes your support piece or your cross piece. And you can see there's two little notches where they're going to fit perfectly. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on each side. I've done this easel in black and it's absolutely gorgeous. I like to put my little tab on the inside. I think you could wrap it around if you wanted, but I think it hides it a little bit more by folding it under. You know, in other words, you could come all the way around, but I think it's a little more finished this way. Pinch it, hold it in place for just a second. And then you want to do the other side too. Hold it in place, pinch, pinch, pinch. Pinch, 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 pinch. That wet glue, like I said, does take a little second to dry, but it absolutely will dry nicely and hold. Should I attempt to put the cards on it? I think I will. Let's see if we've got Gavin to show our little side view. I think that's a nice view. Yes, you can definitely see the kind of 3D look of it. Of course, my calendar's all backwards, so maybe I'll quickly flip it back to January. And then you can stack it all up. And like I said, it will hold all 12 months, but you absolutely could, you know, just switch it out and put fewer months on or anything like that. But you can see how absolutely gorgeous it holds it just absolutely perfectly. So much fun. What a fun little gift. Have the calendar, and then this, like I said, can hold so many other fun things too. Card projects, special things you create, any of the above. I'll give you one more view right there. All right, so say that we were very interested in die cutting and wanted to create a version with die cuts. Do you guys think this is a good idea? I think so. So I want to show you our fun, beautiful die cut collection that we have created. A lot of the girls in the office helped with this. I did not create this all by myself, but we had so much fun. And before I leaf through them, I'm going to go through each month and just share with you because I think they turned out so cute. I did want to show that we also do have a little printable for the die cut portion of this. And again, this is just our idea of what die cuts might work with each individual month. I think you guys will have so much fun really just going through any of the Spellbinders dies and just picking your own. You definitely don't have to follow along with our suggestions, although we do have some cute ones. But maybe this is a jumping off point for you to just go ahead and create your own personalized calendar using die cuts. And don't forget, photos, absolute darling. Stamped images, so great. So many different ways that you can customize this. But we do have this printable available, and it does call out the name of every single die that we used. Again, knowing that you will probably customize your own, but again, good starting point. So that is also available on the landing page. So let's just go through every month real quick, and I think it'll be fun. So let's start with January. Got our cute little Yeti. So he's a brand new one that we just came out with. I think he just launched here at the end of 2024 for Spellbinders. So cute. Very wintry. So we've got Love on the Rocks is a new die that's just coming out. And I actually don't think as of the time of filming this video that it's quite available. But it will be available in December on the Spellbinders website. But again, any kind of Valentine theme, absolutely darling. You could even probably use some of the other things from the original Rocks collection or the Happy Hour collection. March, I think, was due for just a beautiful floral. This is one that we released earlier in the spring. You've got one of Vicky's cute little ducky waddlers, and look at that little glittery puddle he's in. So cute for April. Got Nicole Spore's cute little stitching die here for May. Love the gold cardstock there at the top. Create that embroidery hoop. Another one of Vicky's dies, actually. This is one of her tunnel dies. So cute in her Tunnelscape collection. Got a little fishy action in June. July, absolutely love this. This is from our storytelling collection, the little hiking boots. We kind of morphed into more or less kind of a pair of combat boots. Love that for July, a little patriotic flair. August is all about escaping the heat here in Arizona, so this is our nod to our San Diego. They call us, what do they call us when we go to over there? Zonies. Yeah, the Zonies are invading San Diego. So fun little beachy castle there. Of course, September is all about back to school. Got this cute gnome drive. One of our most popular die sets from this year, from our Halloween collection, our little ghosted dogs there. There's a little pair of them. November is an Envelope of Wonder kind of collection that we actually introduced last year. But still love it. Very timeless. All the little pumpkins and gourds. And December, of course, a beautiful poinsettia with that little holiday bird. So again, all of those called out on that PDF. I absolutely loved creating this calendar with the dies. Absolutely stunning. Just a little bit different vibe than our beautiful BetterPress one. Very classy and elegant here. But again, so many different ways you can use this beautiful, beautiful calendar set. So once again, thank you so much for joining me for this calendar class. I hope that as we walked you through each and every month, that you have confidence to create your own calendars as you go along. And remember, personalize them, make them your own, whether it's color choices, swapping out the elements at the top, and print multiples. When your friends see them, they're going to want a set for themselves. You know they will. They also make great gifts, of course. So again, thank you for participating in this class. The class bundle is still available. Of course, you can buy each and every item a la carte and substitute. Again, make it your own. So thanks so much for spending this time with me. I hope you enjoyed our calendar class, and we will see you next time. So happy crafting.